Rene of Ferrara once famously said, "Had I a beard, I would have been the king of France." This was true as her father, Louis XII, was the king, and she was his eldest child, but French Salic laws stated that only males could inherit the throne. Upon his death, her distant cousin Francis I acceded the throne, and she herself was married to Duke Ercole of Ferrara in a political marriage designed to create a link between France and yet another northern Italian city-state. As Rene arrived from France, she brought her entire retinue of servants with her, and her husband sadly resented her right from the beginning, with their marriage resembling a war zone. Rene had been influenced during her time in the French court by the king's sister Margaret, who herself had been convicted of the message of righteousness by faith, and Rene brought these Protestant ideas with her. Her husband hated this, and even though he wasn't a particularly religious man, he was a loyal son of the church and knew that he needed the Catholic Church's support to aid his political ambition. As long as she didn't cause him any trouble, he turned a blind eye to her ideas. But over time, she got more open and harbored countless French Protestants, many of whom were seeking asylum in her court. In 1534, the Huguenot French poet Clement Marot was cited to be burned, but he managed to escape Paris, initially seeking asylum with Margaret of Navarre before she sent him to the court of Rene. In 1536, John Calvin also spent a month here in Rene's court, beginning a lifelong correspondence between the pair. Whenever her husband found she was harboring a heretic, he would try and intervene, but she would report the matter to the King of France, who would then insist because the asylum seekers were French, they fell under his jurisdiction. And as France was a bigger player on the international scene than Ferrara, her husband Ercole would have to concede and figure out another way to make her life miserable. This came to a head when Bernini was imprisoned here, with her husband taking things into his own hands, first trying and then executing him in what was a power play to exert his authority. It was around this time that some historians state that her husband Ercole allowed the Pope to send some Jesuits into her court to help sway the courtiers, and also that her husband managed to get the French king to send a priest.